everybody, welcome back. We are back. Fear the Walking Dead is back. Part 2 of season 4 is here, and now so are we. We are here to review it. This week we are looking at season 4, episode 9, People Like Us. And as usual, with me to talk about all things Walking Dead is Jason.
Hell yeah, we're back, baby.
There it is.
Woo!
All right, Ric Flair's here too.
Oh yeah,
all right.
We're going all out.
So the show returned. A few weeks ago at Comic-Con, we did a little bit of a discussion on the trailer that came out. There were some pros and cons to that, but really, despite that trailer, things were very much left in a bit of a mystery as to what was going on, other than, hey, everyone's just kind of all over doing things, and there's a big storm coming, which I do believe is going to be the focal point of this season. But we definitely had a lot drop this week. We're definitely looking at the mindset and where everyone is. It's been about a month since the mid-season finale. What a finale. I don't mean that as in a necessarily a good way, just as that was a thing that happened. And so here we are, about a month after all of that. Overall impressions of this week's show, Jason, what did you think?
I enjoyed it. It was kind of a little bit of everything. It had a much lighter tone than I was expecting. We got to see how everybody sort of coped with the deaths of Madison and Nick. Madison and Nick. Yep. And they're coping about as well as you'd expect. Surprisingly, I think Alicia's probably coping better than anybody else, which is weird.
You're talking about obviously out of the main group. The former members of the main group, I should say. Now they're not even a majority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was fun to see, everybody sort of diverge very quickly. It was interesting to see that, Alicia went off and did her own thing, which I like. That's very much in line with her.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see the more misfits of the group, Luciana and Victor, sort of living it up. Victor decided to go, full Russell Brand and just live his life totally plastered 100% of the time. Luciana, oh God, I don't even remember what it was, but she's like sitting back in that chair blasting music. Reminded me of that old MTV commercial about the kid sitting in the chair with the shades and just the speakers blasting his hair back. I don't know why, but that's what that reminded me of.
I don't know why either.
Yeah, just something about that. We got to go see John and
June.
Yeah. June, yeah.
Take your pick of names, but her actual name is June.
Yeah, John and June have decided they want to go play Little House on the Prairie.
Have they decided that, or has John decided that?
Well, John's decided that, but on the other hand, at this point, I think he's gonna strong arm June and the kid into coming along with him.
Okay. Well, then you just had Alan Morgan doing Alan Morgan things.
Yeah, for as long as they're going to be on here, which probably won't be too much longer.
I agree with you overall. Overall, I thought this was a good episode, and I thought it did a really good job and an appropriate job of putting everyone in the place that they probably would be. I don't think you can really have a lot of argument as to what's going on. Victor Strand has found a place where he can drink and be happy, and he's drinking and he's happy. He's not really happy, but he's putting on that thing. He's doing Strand things. He's drinking away. He has they did a really good job with those main three: Alicia, Strand, and Luciana. What is there at this point? They had this life. They had this place. And it's all fallen apart. And Luciana, I thought was in I thought they portrayed that in a great way. Considering the great mansion that they found, and I'll get to the mansion here in a minute. She is. I agree with you. She's also doing exactly what she probably would. And Alicia trying to distance herself, yet at the same time distract herself and find excuses to do other things other than to focus and deal with what has happened, while at the same time doing something that is a bit of a bit of a callback as to what she thinks her mom would do, trying to help somebody. I thought that was really good. Just as interesting though, Morgan has decided, it's time to go back. It's
Yep.
Rick was right, and I think I called this out, that this was going to end up. They put that in there for a reason. This was going to end up haunting him, but he has made the decision that he's going to go back to Virginia. He's going to go back to where he came from, and Al's going with him. And I think this is a good idea for both of them. John and June and Charlie doing their thing. I don't think that's quite as set in stone as John would like to think. But I think at the same time, John's a little flexible. But
Yeah.
but he's come up with an idea. It's an idea that he had initially thought that Morgan would join them in, and we'll see. I don't know if we'll see the cabin again or not. That's a bit of a scenario I'd kind of like to see play out, at least in part. But yeah.
Yeah.
So there we are. Now, I will say this. I was happy to see, and then this is one of the things I complained about regularly in the first half, was that, okay, what the hell are you going to do with Charlie now? Okay? They're not going to just hang out with her, and it would be completely inappropriate for the show to just expect it. And I'm glad to see they've taken that in the route that they have. There was no reason for this group to stay together after what had happened, and they haven't been. And, the people that are staying together are, I think, is appropriately so. And the interactions that like when Morgan goes and speaks with Strand and Luciana and Alicia, it's kind of like, okay, we know who you are. You're not our buddy. We're not friends, but we're not enemies. And then at the same note, the interaction that Charlie has, or at least when John wants to help Charlie, and Strand's like, you know who you're talking to, right? You know what she did. And then when Luciana finds Charlie and her interaction and her reaction to her, although I do have to say, maybe you caught this and I didn't. Obviously, the fact that she'd returned a book called The Little Prince, there's something to that, and I'm not sure what it is. Do you happen to know?
No. But on the thing of Charlie I think the most interesting thing for me was the fact that she seems to have, through some sort of like psychosis, she's totally become mute. Even when that zombie was facing up against her, she was totally incapable of making any sort of sound. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out for her.
That's interesting. That's for sure. I still am no fan of this character.
No, I am well aware.
But so if I don't have to hear Charlie talk, I'm fine with that. But that's an interesting angle. The whole situation with Charlie, I think they're playing it out well. So yeah, I completely agree that after everything that had happened in the first part of the season and what they had basically done to this show, and what the fallout with the cast and where we are, I think they're in a good, interesting place. Everyone's kind of split off now. Strand's with John. Morgan and Alicia were together, but they're not anymore. You've got some interesting groups working here. Al's with June. Charlie is out doing whatever the hell Charlie is. I mean, look at that dude. She's already causing trouble again.
Yeah, I mean, she's
it doesn't stop.
She's plot device number one.
Right. But that's whatever's going on with her and Luciana. They've definitely split off the groups with this storm coming in for some optimized drama. But it's all good. It's good. So what did you think of the whole thing with Alicia and the whole situation with the lumberyard and how that all played out?
I was pretty happy with it. It was I don't know, something just felt off. I couldn't, maybe it was the framing of it. I don't know. But why? Well, I have a feeling you have something you want to say on the matter.
Well, it's just a big topic in the show. I mean, nothing contrary to what you're saying. Just wanted to know what you
Nah,
thought of it. Why do you think it was off? What do you think was off about it?
I don't know. I just couldn't shake the feeling like there was something weird about it from the rest of the shots. And even like looking back over it in my mind, I wonder if like maybe the lighting was different. There was just something about those shots that seemed off compared to the rest of the show.
Do you mean when they were actually at the lumberyard? I'm talking about the whole scenario, from finding the notes with the with the help on it, to getting to the lumberyard, to finding the person and their obvious demise.
Yeah, no. The note shots, like where they're finding the notes. Those ones.
I definitely would have liked a chance to read the ones that had a little bit more writing other than help on it. I had a hard time reading those things.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're probably going to come back to them. So I'm not too upset that we didn't get to read them right away, because I have a feeling they're going to pour a whole episode into it.
Okay.
Which you and I were kind of talking about this before, and I know I'm jumping around topics here, but I am excited the fact that they're sort of breaking everybody off, because that gives the show a chance to really shine where it can. These we've seen, at least with the last couple of seasons in particular, these big overarching stories have not worked out super well, but a lot of these individual episodic sections, when you dedicate one episode to telling a single story, I think that's where The Walking Dead shines the best. It's a single story, a one shot, or we get to sort of follow these smaller, more concise stories, so that way it doesn't drag out. The pacing, I'm hoping, will be faster. We can move in between that stuff very quickly, and that'll keep the show fresh and exciting, especially, if they put 2 or 3 episodes out about like Alicia and her quest for the notes, and people are starting to get bored of that, then they can swap over to, whatever Al and Morgan are doing, assuming that they're still going to be in there, or, what John and June are doing back at the cabin. I'm hoping, especially with the cabin, that we'll see, because the storm that's coming through looks sort of like a hurricane almost, and with hurricanes come a lot of flooding, and the cabin's already based pretty close to water, so if it's close enough to get hit by that storm, we might just see that sucker get totally tossed or trashed. Sure. Or the waters might rise enough that, it like brings in these drowned looking zombies into the cabin, which would always be interesting.
Sure. So you brought up an interesting point, and something that obviously needs to be talked about here. I mean, it's an immediate 800-pound gorilla that comes into the room at the beginning with this episode. Is that, and I had mentioned it, Morgan has decided that he wants to go back to where he came from. He wants to go back to Alexandria. That's very interesting. It really calls into question the future of this show and the future of the other show and what they're going to do. I wonder, though. I wonder if this is really going to happen. At first thought, and again, there's some spoilers here, but I'm sure most people know, especially if you're checking out reviews and stuff online, that Andrew Lincoln and Lauren Cohen are not long for the show anymore.
Well, and we talked about that in our last Walking
Dead. We've been talking about that a lot now. So bringing Morgan back and even bringing on the Fear Crew in some ways feels appropriate. And that also being said, the main show does not have any shortage of cast members. While it is intriguing, and in fact in some ways I think I would like to see these groups merge and interact with one another, I'm not totally convinced that that's actually what's going to happen. They've got this storm that they're going to deal with, and I think that's going to take up most of this season. I don't know if they actually get there or not, or if they ever actually leave. I think that this is more of a plot device than anything. At least that's where I'm leaning towards right now. That being said, I still do believe that we are going to actually see a more elaborate crossover between these two shows and what we have. Now, having said that as well, the fact that the main show is going to do a 1.5 to 2 year leap in time brings on its own issues. It's kind of funny because it brings on the same issue that you had to, the same hurdle we had to jump over, taking Morgan and putting him in the Fear show, which is that a huge time gap had to be crossed over in order for that to happen.
Yeah.
So, and now we're dealing with that problem again. So that's one of the reasons why I don't think it's going to actually happen. Something's going to stop this trip. Or maybe not. Maybe that's what they do in all of season 5. Maybe that's season 5 is the trip, or most of the trip to Virginia. It would be interesting to do that. I didn't like how they just while I understood, just for the sake of hey, you only got so many episodes, there's only so much time. They really they skipped over what should have probably been a very eventful trip for Morgan, going from Virginia over to Texas.
Yeah.
They skipped over the vast majority of it.
Yeah.
And I thought that kind of sucked, actually. So, I don't know. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you. It would be interesting to spend, like they could have, since obviously he's been there for this next season of Fear, to instead dedicate Morgan's screen time to more in-depth showing that journey back to Rick and the group. That would be a good way to tie things off, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because we, in the world of The Walking Dead on TV, things are definitely we are over the hill on this stuff. We've definitely passed the midpoint. And now that they've connected these two shows in the manner that they have, other than them taking place in the same world, we now have people from other shows on there. I started thinking about, like, if they are going to do a crossover, though, they probably will have to do it soon. And I could absolutely see them at the end of season 5 doing exactly what they did at the end of season 8 with Walking Dead, then going immediately into Fear with Morgan. And instead of going the other way, at the end of Fear the Walking Dead season 5, you start, the season finale, or maybe even the series finale for Fear, then goes either the same night or the next week from Fear to The Walking Dead, and merging the shows or just having a crossover or what have you. I guess if they're going to do it, now would kind of be the time in the next year or so, right?
Yeah, I would agree with you, and I think, you're right. We've definitely passed the hump, and I think it's a good chance to sort of condense a lot of those extra characters that we've had, especially in the mainline show where they've got like 5 million characters. We've got a lot of people.
There is, between both shows, there is a lot of people. And we're going to get more people. They're still introducing, I think, 4 new cast members, either temporary or regular cast members, into this show before this season's over. That being said, I stand firmly on my prediction that June will be dead by the end of this season, and I will also stick by the fact that it will be eyeball related.
Yeah, you're sticking with your guns,
I'm
doubling down.
with it. I'm on it.
Alrighty.
It's happening. It's the only logical solution, in my opinion. Someone's going to die. I guarantee you that. One of these cast members is going to die. And it makes sense that it's June. She's going to get over this garbage that she's going through with her fear of, who I am, and, will John still love me, and all this stuff, and does he really know who I am? And she will get over this, and then she will die. As happens with so many cast members from either show, once they've resolved their big issue, they get knocked off.
Yep.
So
that's sort of if there is one universal theme for The Walking Dead, it's you never want to improve yourself in any way.
Or be the moral compass.
Yeah.
Neither one. I still think she's gonna get it. What about you? Where are you standing on that? Who's dying?
I don't know. June's a good hedge bet. I'm thinking maybe Luciana.
Okay. You said that one before too.
Yeah, just because she's a decent character, but I don't feel like they've done a ton with her.
Well, there's not a lot to do with her either. I mean, her
Yeah,
attachments to this show have been secondary in all
yeah,
cases. So,
there's no one directly tying her to the show anymore. So I think
no.
that they're gonna take this opportunity to off her probably.
I almost thought that she was going to get it there when that walker was coming up behind her. I almost thought, okay, here it is. This is how they're going to do it, because they'll do it in weird situations like that sometimes. Like, her grief has caused her to weaken, let her guard down, and in such a way. But no, Strand came around. I was glad to see that though too.
Yeah,
I
that
can
was
see.
probably one of the funnier scenes though. Oh my God,
Yeah,
watching.
that was
Yeah.
great. I can see them going either way. Either it's time for Luciana to go, or they're going to give her some other attachments into this show. They're going to intertwine her in different ways, because it does very much feel like she's just kind of hanging in the wind. Um, you know, we haven't seen despite the relationship that she had with Nick, you have seen little to no actual close interactions between her and Alicia. Of course, you're not seeing Alicia really interact with anyone right now.
No.
So, but even before all this happened, if you almost every time you saw her with Nick, and that even goes into season 2 and in when she was around in season 3. So yeah, there's that's definitely a thing. Let's see what. Oh yeah, something else that was notable. When Al's having that conversation with June, and I believe she said something that Madison, I think, said on at least 2 other occasions throughout the seasons, which was that yesterday was yesterday, today is today.
Hmm.
Who knows what tomorrow will bring? I immediately remember like, oh, that's something Madison used to say. In fact, I think that is something that Madison even said to Al in the mid-season finale during the few times they actually interacted
Yeah.
on that episode. So that was nice to hear. It's a nice little callback to who was the main character of the show. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Other than I know they tried their best, but this whole storm thing is not looking so great so far. There's not a lot more perfume they can put on the pig that is those flying walkers.
Hmm.
They looked okay at best, and sometimes it just looked really bad. Now you and we are from the state of Wisconsin, and we are no stranger to storms. We get a lot of them, and they just there were some, especially the trees in the background. Now, even watching The Talking Dead, they did a behind the scene thing about how they were trying to imitate a storm and such, and they even mentioned that there were people in the back making the trees move around. I didn't notice it.
No, not at all.
In fact, they were so stiff, it kind of takes you out of the scene.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping that they'll learn from this and they'll use something a little more realistic.
Yeah, yeah. Don't make walkers fly around anymore. That just didn't work too well. And yeah, try to immerse us a little bit more in what's going on here. As far as that storm is concerned, although I think the storm will bring some interesting situations and some interesting gimmicks, and something that we haven't seen. This is something. The main show gets so enthralled in itself, and appropriately so, considering the kind of stories that they've told in the past and how long it's taken them to do it. Um, this is something that we get to enjoy from Fear, and we saw it at the first half of this season. We get to see it again. It's just some interesting scenarios, like the lumberyard thing. We have not really dealt with many storm situations in the main show.
Yeah, environment has never been the biggest factor, if you exclude like how environment affects zombies, because
Right.
the world is full of natural disasters, and especially in a world in which our warning systems, there is no weather channel to check whether you're getting thunderstorms. Um, yeah, it would have been interesting, or it still could be interesting to see, if they're deciding to take this in another direction, how cloud cover, like with a storm, the clouds roll in way before they're blocking off sunlight, moonlight, especially at, like if it's pitch black with no starlight, no moonlight, that's perfect for, like walkers to just sneak right up behind them, or other people, all throughout history, people have used the cover of night to attack each other. And with the budding groups in the main show, that's a great way to advertise it. Wind, snow, like all kinds of stuff that could play hell with a survival situation.
Dude,
And
I know. I'm begging every year, each show. I'm begging for snow. I'm begging for snow. They did it in like the first year of the comic. They had a winter season, and there's things that happen to these walkers in the winter. Where's our snow? Virginia snows every year, quite a lot.
Yeah, and Virginia, I'd have to double check, but I don't think they're known for earthquakes. But still,
No, that's no. The East Coast doesn't really ever get those.
I'm not super up to date on my geographical information.
No, and they're over in. Well, no, I guess they're not. They're in Texas. I don't think Texas gets a lot of either. But they were over on the West Coast. There was an opportunity to do something like that. That's all right. I mean, they don't have to hit every kind of disaster that'll happen.
No, but earthquake would have been interesting because you'd have walkers falling off of buildings and stuff, or people falling into crowds of walkers because of the earthquake. There could have been a lot of really good cinematic shots with that.
No, yeah, and I think the storm's going to be great. Again, they're in Texas. Having lived in Texas some time myself, I can tell you that the lack of rain they get, and then when you bring in a big storm like this, and the havoc it can cause to the environment, I think if they play it out right, we're gonna have some interesting stuff here. Hopefully, the episodes ahead are gonna play out this natural disaster better than what we saw with this episode. All right. Anything else, Jason?
No, I mean that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. All
right. Well, it's not twisting your arm on it. I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm looking over my list. No, we've covered pretty much everything.
All right. So let's rate this thing. Let's see. One out of 5 little princes.
I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay, I'm also going to give it a 4 out of 5. I think this is a solid one. I was really iffy after the mid-season finale. Okay, I don't know. They really threw us a not great episode there. They really copped out on what was a very epic scenario and how they played it out on the show for us to see. It was not done very well. So they brought me back. They brought me back with this one. Okay, you've put things in a very interesting way. We got a lot of interesting stuff going on. The cast is they're dealing with some good things, and I think in good ways. They're doing a good job with it. Fear is once again shining enough to have me have my attention.
Yeah, it was a good start to the season, and I think if they just keep this momentum that they've got going, it'll be one of the classics.
Let's see. I mean, season 3 was still really good. I don't know. I don't know if Fear beats its previous season, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, there's been a lot of changes. We'll see where they go. Let us know what you think, everybody. Comment below, and if you liked our review and how we discuss these things when it comes to our reviews of movies and TV shows and such, go ahead and like and subscribe, please. But yeah, let us know what you thought below. Go ahead and comment. But until next time, I think that's going to do it. All right, Jason's got nothing to add there. Isn't this usually where you have your great?
This is my great moment. No, yeah. I was blanking. I was like, all right, there we go. That's the end.
That's it. All right. Yeah,
so, we're getting back into the groove of things. You'll have to give me a minute.
By being in the groove of things, you mean how we're not in the groove of anything?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds about right. Okay, so we will be back next week. All right. So until then,
watch out for zombie hurricanes.
There it is. Thank you. Thank Jason for saving the show. All right. Okay. We'll see you later.
Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, is there anything to go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but it would be great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksongmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Yeah, who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, pick up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.